Well, if it isn't Gorman, my old friend Gorman. Do you recognise me? Cream. Father of the Judge, Cream. You remember? Cream.
Mr. Cream, well, I'll be. Mr. Cream, sit you down. Sit you down here. There. Great weather for the time of day, Mr. Cream, eh?
My old friend Gorman. It's a sight to see you again after all these years,
Yes, indeed, Mr. Cream. Yes, indeed. That's the way it is. And you, tell me.
I was living with my daughter and she died, and I came here to live with the other.
Miss what?
Bertha. You know she got married, yes? Moody, the nurseryman. 2 children.
Grand match, Mr. Cream. Grand match, more power to you. But tell me then, the poor soul, she was taken then, was she?
Malignant. Tried everything. Lingers 3 years, that's how it goes. The young pop off and the old hang on.
Ah, dear, oh dear, Mr. Cream. Dear, oh dear.
And you? Your wife?
Still in it, but for how long?
Poor Daisy. Yes.
Had she children?
3. 3 children. Johnny the eldest, then Ronnie, then a baby girl, Queenie. My favourite. Queenie, a baby girl.
Darling name.
She's so quick for her years, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what she came out to me the other day? Only the other day, poor Daisy.
And your son-in-law?
Eh?
Ah, dear, oh dear, Mr. Cream. Dear, oh dear. Ah, yes, children. It's the way it is. They tear you to fritters with their flaming machines.
Shocking crossing. Sudden death.
As soon as look at you, tear you to flitters.
Ah, in our time, Gorman, this was the outskirts, you remember? Peace and quiet.
Do I remember? Fields it was. Fields, bluebells over there on the bank. Bluebells, when you think. The horses, the carriages, and the barouches. The barouches. All that's the dim, distant past, Mr. Cream.
And the Bruffums? You remember the Bruffums? There was style for you, the Bruffums.
The first car I remember, I saw it here on the corner. A pick she was.
Not a pick, Gorman. Not a pick. A D-Dian button.
A pick. Don't I remember it well? Just as I was coming out of Swans, the booksellers beyond there on the corner. Swans, the booksellers, that was. Just as I was coming out with a rise of fourpence. There wasn't much money in it in those days.
A D-Dian. A D-Dian.
You had to work for your living in those days. It wasn't at 6 you knocked off, nor at 7 neither. 8 it was. 8 o'clock, yes, by God. Where was I? Yes. 8 o'clock. As I was coming out of Swans, there was a crowd gathered, and the car wheeling round the bend.
A D-Dian, Gorman, a D-Dian. I can remember the man himself from Waltham. He was the what was this his name was?
Bush. Seymour Bush.
Bush. That's the man.
Bush. One way or t'other, Mr. Cream. One way or t'other, no matter. It wasn't the likes of nowadays. They're flaming machines that tear you to shreds.
My dear Gorman, do you know what it is I'm going to tell you? All this speed. Do you know what it is? It has the whole place ruinated. No living with it anymore. The whole place ruinated. Even the weather. When you think of the springs in our time. Remember? The springs we had, the heat there was in them, and the summers. Remember, the summers would destroy you with the heat.
Do I remember? There was 1 year back there, seems like yesterday. Must have been round 95, when we were still out at Cruddy. Didn't we water the roof of the house every evening with a rubber jet to have a bit of cool in the night? Yes, summer 95.
That would surprise me, Gorman. Remember, in those days, the rubber hose was a great luxury, a great luxury. Wasn't till after the war, the rubber hose.
You may be right.
No, maybe about it. I tell you, the first we ever had round here was in Drummond's place, old Dar Drummond. That was after the war, 1920 maybe. Still very exorbitant it was at the time. Don't you remember watering out of the can? You must with that bit of garden you had, didn't you, wasn't it? Your father owned that patch out on the Marston Road.
The Sheen Road, Mr. Cream. But true for you, the watering, you're right there. Me and me host, how are you? We had no running water at the time, or had we?
The Sheen Road. That's the one out beyond Shackleton Sawpit.
We didn't get it in till 1925. Now it comes back to me. The wash hand basin and jug.
The Sheen Road. You saw what they've done to that? I was out on it yesterday with the son-in-law. You saw what they've done. Our little gardens and the grand slow hedges.
Yes, all those gazebos springing up like thistles. There's trash for you if you like. Collapse if you would look at them. Am I right?
Collapse is the word when you think of the good stone made of cathedrals. Nothing to come up to it.
And on top of all, no foundations, no cellars, no nothing. How are you going to live without cellars, I ask you? On piles, if you don't mind. Piles, like in the Lake Age. There's progress for you.
Ah, Gorman, you haven't changed a hair. Just the same old wag he always was. Getting on for 75, is it?
73? 73? Soon for the knock.
Now, Gorman, none of that, none of that. And me turning 76, you're a young man, Gorman.
Ah, Mr. Cream, always a great one for the crack.
Here, Gorman, while we're at it, have a fag, here. The daughter must have whipped them again, doesn't want me to be smoking. Mind her own damn business. I have them here. Here, have one.
I wouldn't leave you short.
Short, for God's sake. Here, have one.
They're packed so tight they won't come out.
Take hold of the packet. Oh, what ails me? All bloody thumbs. Can you pick it up?
Here we are. Ah, yes, a nice puff now and again, but it's not what it was, for the gasper's now not worth a fiddler's. Remember in the forces, the shag. Remember the black shag. That was tobacco for you.
Ah, the black shag. My dear Gorman, the black shag. Fit for royalty, the black shag. Fit for royalty. Have you a light on you?
Well, then I haven't. The wife doesn't like me to be smoking.
Must have whipped my lighter too, the bitch. My old tinder jizzer.
Well, no matter. I'll keep it and have a draw later on.
The bitch sure as a gun, she must have whipped it too. That's going beyond the beyonds, beyond the beyonds. Nothing you can call your own. Perhaps we might ask this gentleman. Beg your pardon, sir. Trouble you for a light?
Ah, the young nowadays, Mr. Cream. Very wrapped up they are, the young nowadays. No thought for the old. When you think. Where were we? Ah, yes, the forces. You went in 1900, 1902, am I right?
Yeah, 1903. 1903. And you 1906, was it?
1906, yes, at Chatham.
The Gunners?
The foot.
But the foot wasn't Chatham, don't you remember there? There it was the Gunners. You must have been at Caterham. Caterham, the foot.
Chatham, I tell you. Isn't it like yesterday? Morrison's pub on the corner.
Harrison's. Harrison's Oak Lounge. Do you think I don't know Chatham? I used to go there on holiday with Mrs. Cream. I know Chatham backwards, Gorman, inside and out. Harrison's Oak Lounge was on the corner of what the name of the street? On a rise. It'll come back to me. Don't you think I don't know Harrison's Oak Lounge there on the corner of... Damn it, I'll forget my own name next. And the square. It'll come back to me.
Morrison or Harrison, we were at Chatham.
That would surprise me greatly. The Gunners. The Gunners with Chatham. Do you not remember that?
I was in the Foot at Chatham, in the Foot.
The Foot. That's right. The Foot at Chatham.
That's what I'm telling you. Chatham, the Foot.
That would surprise me greatly. You must have it mucked up with the war, the mobilisation.
The mobilisation? Have a heart. It's as clear in my mind as yesterday, the mobilisation. We were shifted straight away to Chesham. Was it? No, Chester. Chester, that's the place. There was Morrison's pub on the corner and a chambermaid. What was her name? Jane? The very start of the war, when we still didn't believe it. Chester. Those are happy memories.
Happy memories? Happy memories? I wouldn't go as far as that.
I mean, the start-up at Chatham. We still didn't believe it. And that chambermaid, what was her name? It'll come back to me. And your son, by the same token.
Eh?
Your son, the judge.
He has rheumatism.
Oh, rheumatism. Runs in the blood, Mr. Cream.
What are you talking about? I never had rheumatism.
When I think of my poor old mother, only 60 and couldn't move a muscle. Rheumatism, they never found a remedy for it, yet atom rockets is all they care about. I can thank my lucky stars, touch wood. Your son, yes, he's in the papers, the Carton affair. The way he managed that case, he can be a proud man. The wife read it again in this morning's Lark.
What do you mean, the Barton affair?
The Carton affair, Mr. Cream. The sex fiend on the assizes.
That's not him. He's not the assizes, my boy, isn't. He's the county courts. You mean Judge... what's his name was in the Barton affair?
I thought it was him.
Certainly not. I tell you, the county courts, my boy, not the assizes, the county courts.
Oh, you know, the courts and the assizes, it was always 6 of 1 to me.
Ah, but there's a big difference, Mr. Gorman. A power of difference. A civil case and a criminal one. Quite another, how do you do? What would a civil case be doing in the Lark now, I ask you?
Oh, that machinery, you know. I never got the swing of it. And now it's all 6 of 1 to me.
Were you never in the courts?
I was once, all right. When my niece got her divorce, that was when, was it now, 30 years ago? Yes, 30 years. I was greatly put out. I can tell you, the poor little thing divorced after 2 years of married life. My sister was never the same after it.
Divorce is the curse of society. You can take it from me. The curse of society. Ask my boy if you don't believe me.
Ah, there I'm with you. The curse of society. Look at what it leads up to. What do you think? My niece had a little girl as good as never knew her father.
Did she get alimony?
She was put out to board and wasted away to a shadow. That's a nice thing for you.
Did the mother get alimony?
Little the money. So that's your son ladling out the divorces.
As a judge he must. As a father, it goes to his heart.
Has he children?
Well, in a way he had one. Little Herbert lived to be 4 months and passed away. How long is it now? How long is it now?
Ah, dear, oh dear, Mr. Cream. Dear, oh dear. And did they never have another?
Eh?
Other children?
Didn't I tell you? I have my daughter's children. My two daughters. Talking of your man there, Barton, the sex boyo, isn't that nice carryings on for you, showing himself? Showing himself off like that without a stitch on him to little children. Might just as well have been ours, Gorman, our own little grandchildren.
Mrs. Cream must be a proud woman, too, to be a grandmother.
Mrs. Cream is in a coffin these 20 years, Mr. Gorman.
Oh, God forgive me, what am I talking about? You wouldn't know what I'd be talking about. That's right, you were saying you were with Miss Daisy.
With my daughter Bertha, Mr. Gorman. My daughter Bertha, Mrs. Rupert Moody.
Your daughter Bertha? That's right, so she married Moody, Gallus Garage they have there near the slaughterhouse.
Not him, his brother, the nursery man.
Grand match. More power to you. Have they children?
Eh?
Children?
Two doty little boys. Little Johnny, I mean Hubert, and the other.
But tell me, your daughter, poor soul, she was taken. Then was she? That cigarette while we're at it. I might try this, gentleman. Beg pardon, sir. Trouble you for a light? Ah, the young are all very wrapped up, Mr. Cream.
Little Hubert and the other, what's this his name is? And Mrs. Gorman?
Still in it?
Ah, you're the lucky Jim Gorman. You're the lucky Jim. Mrs. Gorman, by gad. Fine figure of a woman, Mrs. Gorman. Fine, handsome woman.
Handsome, all right, but you know, age. We have our health, thanks be to God, touch wood. You know what it is, Mr. Cream? That'd be the way to pop off, chatting away like this on a sunny morning.
None of that now, Gorman. Who's talking of popping off with the health you have? Strong as an ox. And a comfortable wife. Oh, I'd give 10 years of mine to have her back. Do you hear me? Living with strangers isn't the same.
Miss Bertha's so sweet and good. You're on the pig's back, for God's sake. On the pig's back.
It's not the same. You can take it from me. Can't call your soul your own. Look at the cigarettes, the lighter.
Miss Bertha, so sweet and good.
Sweet and good, all right, but damn it if she doesn't take me for a doddering old drivelling dotard. What did I do with those cigarettes?
And tell me, your poor dear daughter-in-law, what am I saying? Your daughter-in-law.
My daughter-in-law? My daughter-in-law? What about my daughter-in-law?
She had private means, it was said. She had private means.
Private means? Oh, they were the queer private means. All sullied up in the war, every halfpenny, do you hear me? The private means not so much land as you'd tether a goat. Land, Gorman. There's no security like land. But that woman, you might as well have been talking to the bedpost. A mule she was, that woman was.
Ah, well, it's only human nature. You can't always pierce into the future.
Not now, Gorman. Don't be telling me. Land, wouldn't you live all your life of a bit of land? Damn it now. Wouldn't you? Any fool knows that unless they take the fantasy to go and build on the moon the way they say, oh, that's all fantasy, Gorman. You can take it from me, all fantasy and delusion. They'll smart for it one of these days. By God, they will.
You don't believe in the moon, what they're experimenting at.
My dear Gorman, the moon is the moon, and Cheese is cheese. What do they take us for? Didn't it always exist, the moon? Wasn't it always there as large as life? And what did it ever mean? Only fantasy and delusion, Gorman. Fantasy and delusion. Or is it our forefathers were a lot of old bags? Maybe now is that on the cards, I ask you? Bacon, Wellington, Washington. For them, the moon was always in their opinion. Damn it, I ask you, to hear them talk. No one ever bothered his arse with the moon before. Make a cat swallow his whiskers, they think, if they discovered the moon. As if. What was I driving at?
So you're against progress, are you?
Progress? Progress is all very fine and grand. There's such a thing, I grant you. But it's scientific progress. Scientific. The moon's not progress. Lunacy.
Ah, there I'm with you. Progress is scientific. And the moon, that's the way it is.
The wisdom of the ancients, that's the trouble. They don't give a rap or a snap for it anymore. And the world going to rack and ruin. Wouldn't it be better now to go back to the old maxims and not be gallivanting off, killing one another in China over the moon? Ah, when I think of my poor father.
Your father? That reminds me. I knew your father well. There was a man for you, old Mr. Cream. What he had to say, he lashed out with it straight from the shoulder and no humming and hawing. Now it comes back to me. One year, there in the town council, my father told me, must have been, till I see, 95 or 6. A short while before he resigned. 95, that's it. The year of the Great Frost.
Ah, I beg your pardon. The Great Frost was 93. I just turned 10. 93, Gorman, the Great Frost.
My father used to tell the story how Mr. Cream went hell for leather for the mayor. Who was he in those days? Must have been Overend. Yes, Overend.
Ah, there you're mistaken, my dear Gorman. My father went on the council with Overend in 97. January 97.
That may be. But it must have been 95 or 6 just the same, seeing as how my father went off in 96, April 96. There was a set against him, and he had to give in his resignation.
Well then, your father was off when it all happened. All I know is that mine went on with Overend in 97. The year Maribel was burnt out.
Ah, Maribel. It wasn't 500 yards from the door. 500 yards, Mr. Cream. I can still hear my poor mother saying to us, poor dear Maria. She was saying to me again only last night. January 96. That's right.
97. I tell you, 97, the year my father was voted on.
That may be, but just the same. The clout he gave Overend. That's right now. I have it.
The clout was Oscar Bliss, the butcher in Pollock Street.
The butcher in Pollock Street. There's a memory from the dim, distant past for you. Didn't he have a daughter, do you remember?
Helen Bliss. Pretty girl, she'd be my age. 83 saw the light of day.
And Rosie Plumpton. Bonnie Rosie, staring up at the lid these 30 years she must be now. And Molly Barry, and Eva, what was her name? Eva Hart, that's right. Eva Hart. Didn't she marry Crumplin?
Brother Alfred married Gertie Crumplin. Great one for the lads she was. Do you remember? Gertie, great one for the lads.
Do I remember? Gertie Crumplin. Great bit of skirt, by God. Great bit of skirt.
You old dog, you.
And Nellie Crowther. There's one came to a nasty end.
Simon's daughter, that's right. The parents were greatly to blame, you can take it from me.
They reared her well then, just the same. Bled themselves. White for her, so they did. Poor Mary used to tell us all. We were very close in those days, lived on the same landing, you know. Poor Mary, yes, she used to say what a drain it was, having the child boarding out at St. Teresa's. Can you imagine? Very classy, daughters of the gentry, Mr. Cream. Even taught French they were, the young ladies.
Isn't that what I'm telling you? Reared her like a princess of the blood, they did. French now, I ask you. French.
Would you blame them, Mr. Cream? The best of parents. You can't deny it. Education.
French. French, isn't that what I'm saying?
They denied themselves everything. Take the bits out of their mouths they would for their Nelly.
Don't be telling me they had her on a string all the same, the said young lady. Remember that Holy Week? 1912, was it? Or 13?
Eh?
When you think of Simon, the man he was, don't be telling me that. Holy Week 1913. Now it all comes back to me. Is that like they had her on a string and what she did then?
Peace to her ashes, Mr. Cream.
Principles, Gorman. Principles. Without principles, I ask you. Wasn't there an army man in it?
Eh?
Wasn't there an army man in it?
In the car?
Hey?
An army man in the car.
In the crowd that blow up?
You mean the lieutenant, St. John Fitzball?
St. John Fitz. That's the man. Wasn't he mixed up in it?
They were keeping company all right. He died in 14 wounds.
And his aunt, Miss Hester.
Dead then these how many years is it now? How many?
She was a great old one. A little on the high and mighty side, perhaps you might say.
Take fire like gunpowder, but a heart of gold if you only knew. Her niece has a chip of the old block, wouldn't you say?
Her niece? No recollection.
No recollection? Miss Victoria, come on now. She was to have married an American, and she's in the turrets yet.
I thought they'd sold.
Sell the turrets, is it? They'd never sell. The family seat 3 centuries and maybe more. 3 centuries, Mr. Cream.
You might be the historiographer, Gorman, to hear you talk. What you don't know about those people.
Historiographer? No, Mr. Cream, I wouldn't go as far as that, but Miss Victoria, right enough, I knew her through and through. We stop and have a gas light when her aunt was still in it. Ah, yes, nothing hoity-toity about Miss Victoria. You can take my word. She has a great chip of the old block.
Hadn't she a brother?
The lieutenant, yes, died in 14, wounds.
The bloody car's such a thing as a quiet chat, I ask you. Well, I'll be slipping along. I'm holding you back from your work.
Slipping along? What would you want slipping along? And we only after meeting for once in a blue moon?
Well then, just a minute and smoke a quick one. What did I do with those cigarettes? You fire ahead, don't mind me.
When you think.